YouTube. Y'all don't know what it is, baby. It's UV Skull coming back at you guys with a hero masterclass. Apologies if my voice sounds a little bit um contains, just the baby's officially here and she's sleeping right now. But yeah, I'm excited to bring you guys this brand new masterclass post Miracle Ejector, also post Master Fountain, two deck defining cards I think that have been released. Um, that are not only compelling, I think, for the hero deck, but also phenomenal against a lot of different meta threats against major decks today, post Chaos Origins. So I took this list out to locals, went undefeated. I'm also on a three event streak when it comes to being completely undefeated with this with similar lists to this. So yeah, today's masterclass we're gonna do um an in-depth conversation of the deck profile here and some of the different tech options, as well as the ratios of the hero 50 card pile. Omni heroes as well. It's an Omni build. We're going to go through two bread and butter combos you need to know post Chaos Origins with Ejector as well as Master of Fountain. And then um, we'll talk siding patterns. So the way we're going to do it is deck profile, siding patterns, bread and butter combos. Two very good combos. So yeah, let's get right in. So here's the list. It's a list of 50 with 15 non-engine slots in the main for game one. I find that these non-engine cards that we're playing, such as Ash Blossom, Droll, Fua, Call by Crossout, Crown, as well as the Forbidden Droplets, they're all high impact cards. Ideally, you want to see at least one of them. Best case scenarios you see two. When you're going first, if you just see Ash Blossom, a crossout, or a call by, so one of those five cards with any other four pieces of engine, you are probably winning the game. And the reason that is we're designed going into game one to be much more balanced and unsure whether or not we're going to be, of course, winning the dice. And so the deck is designed in a way where like there isn't really going to be any bad cards that you don't want to see going first or second, with the exception to maybe the Molcharmy Fua. Even things such as Droll, they have implications if you can use them on your opponent's turn, if you do get your combo off. All in all, you'll notice that we are maxed out on all the best possible ways to deal with the main culprits that are still going to be, I would say, a little bit of an issue for the deck, which is going to be your Molchalmer Fuvalos, as well as your Droll and Lockbird. Now, you're going to notice within the new cards that we're actually able to play effectively around Molcharmy Fua as well as Droll, giving limited draws to our opponent, and still going for a Turbo Darklaw approach. But with that being said, ideally this is still a combo deck. You want to pop off your combo. You want to see engine, and you want your engine to essentially resolve without your opponent having you drolled or put under the Molcharmy Fua, because this deck will eat up any of the one-for-one hand traps very easily, and it will essentially mean that your opponent's going to handle it themselves. So yeah, that's the decision making behind the non-engine, the 50 non-engine is your ashes are there really as defensive cards for Molcharmy Fua. Droll and Lockbird because it's high impact because we're not going to be seeing too much non-engine going second. We're going to see maybe one or two cards. Fua, again, in that same spirit of it's high impact. Called by and cross out, again, also high impact cards, primarily to deal with Droll as well as Fua going first. So you want to see these cards going first. And then Baby Droplet in the form of Forbidden Crown and Droplet. Simply because, these are hero classics. With Forbidden Droplet, we ideally want to send things like the Shadow Mist and Malik to the graveyard, as we always have for years now, really, to be able to resolve the effects that we're placing on the field, whether it's Miracle Ejector, Stratos, Vion, and then potentially be able to tag some of those monsters off the field to be able to go for some negates as well. Even something like a Crown, sometimes if you get Molcharmy Fuad, you're able to establish Darklaw Pass, set Crown, and then tell your opponent to go ahead. That could potentially be, a devastating end board. We know with the combination of Darklaw with just one simple Forbidden Crown, it could essentially be a game-winning position on the spot for you. Yep, so that's it for the non-engine. I always like to start off with that. For engine, you're gonna notice we are maxed out on all the good ones. Um, so three ejector, three EHL, three Fusion Destiny. Um, there's technically a fourth ejector and then a third Stratos if you count the emergency call. But yeah, not much to say there. I always found like Stratos at two was always correct. Ejector made sense at three, folks, just because I figured we're already running pseudo bricks in the way of Aqua Dolphin as well as end shuffle, so it made sense just to max it out and play the end shuffle as an additional starter, so that way we're diluting how often we're going to be seeing our bricks in the deck. Additionally, as well, I think the hidden effective ejector is actually quite relevant into a matchup such as branded. Being able to potentially link this off and or send it for like Forest or fuse it off and be able to just target something in the graveyard and essentially target it for banishment is quite powerful. It's something very relevant into a lot of different decks. Primarily, I'm thinking about branded actually. Um, what else can we say? We're also maxing out because the 50 build isn't using the evil hero engine, such as your Adacid Gold, your your Evil Assault or anything like that. We're going to be maxing out on things such as like Foolish Burial, Emergency Call, as well as your Bonfire, which is reinforcement of the army. Just because ideally, opening like a Ferris as a starter, like an ejector is good. But these utility cards tend to essentially supplement your options at starting, should any of these other once per turn cards get stopped. So yeah, that's the rationale there. And then one poly, I don't know, guys. If we look at Nathan Christmas's 60 card list, I don't even think that guy's goated. He only played one in 60. A lot of people are saying, oh, you have so many lines of access for poly, like why are you just playing one? I mean, don't come to me. This guy's probably better. Talk to this guy. He played the one. And he didn't even play thrust. Like I'm on thrust in the side, so I can actually easily just tutor out a polymerization should I have to, but he's on one in 60. And to be honest, like just playing the hero for this deck for years now and being able to like prioritize my plays, as you see in the combo section, two just hasn't been really coming up for me. The other thing I don't do is for the extra deck, I don't play Trinity. I really prefer Wake Up because Wake Up is a slot where this monster is actually potentially a combo piece, should I want it to be, where I can potentially use DP to pop it, summon out like a Shadow Mist or Stratos and add something or add a mass change. So you can actually use this as a extender, but it's also solving the aspect of our extra deck where the Wake Up essentially operating like Vision Hero Trinity. So that's why I actually opted to use this guy instead of Trinity because Trinity does one thing only, which is FTK. This can FTK as well as a potential extender within your combos. But yeah, nothing to really say, I think, beyond the one poly. I'm not on Trinity, so I played the one and then I played Thrust. And to be honest, the way I combo, they tend, I tend to force out interruptions very early before I even have to worry about my potential polymerization or the ad of poly being stopped. Cool. Let's take a look at the side. We're playing Dark Angel. You have to play this actually against matchups such as Branded and or the Breaker decks like Radiant Typhoon or Sky Striker. Essentially FTK if you get this on board. And I find that the combo line to get this card out on the field means that you're going to sacrifice your Miracle Fusion being used to make the contrast hero chaos, but that's okay because this is literally negating their whole hand versus this card negating just one card. We're going for more Mulch Armies post side, and then it's essentially just more breakers, guys. So back row hate, two sloths, thrust talents. All these are breakers. What we're doing with this game plan with heroes is um, essentially floodgating our opponents with the Mulch Armies, drawing into powerful pieces of non-engine such as the back row hate, the thrusts, and then potentially threatening a pot of sloth to refresh our entire hand and be drawing into more of these breakers such as the crowns, the droplets, even Ash Blossom can also behave as a breaker sometimes against certain decks. I'm thinking maybe like Cool Tune, you can potentially Ash a KTS and it really sets them back. But yeah, that's the game plan I find with heroes, just because simply heroes will always be one of those decks that it can't fit as much non-engine as it should versus the other meta-defining decks. Like, if we take a look at Cool Tune, for example, um, the Cool Tune deck, folks, where's Cool Tune? The Cool Tune deck has, I mean, what is it? One, two, three, like 20 hand traps in the main. It can give go up to even 24 post side should it want to. So definitely something to keep in mind is like the way the hero deck has to operate is you need to go for those bigger, stronger, high impact non-engine pieces that are floodgating your opponent, but also giving you value and the benefit of that with the draws. So yeah, that's the rationale there. And then I still think you play the two mass changes even with the Master Fountain post side. These are just primarily to go first. The line where you can go a hero lives with a mass change in hand, just to go Shadow Mist, no effect, Turbo out the Dark Claws is very, very powerful. It's beating Droll and Lockbird, it's beating Veiler, it's also beating Ghost Ogre, which is in the format because of the Light and Darkness Dragon, because people are playing the Ogre to try to snipe out the Mind Shuffle. Excellent. Let's cover the extra deck quickly. Two contrast heroes, you absolutely need two. You're going to make one with Miracle Fusion. Your Miracle Fusion today in the combo, as you'll see, is designed exclusively for this card. And yes, you can make this because this card is always treated as Elemental Hero. 1 DP, that's all you need for your Destiny's hero targets. I played the Aquanios instead of a Trinity or a Decimator just simply because I found a lot of times when you're playing against decks that are hand trap heavy, like Cool Tune, for example, you tend to make your sunrise before you're making your Infernal Rage. So I wanted, once I made my sunrise, then I used the Miracle Fusion to make the Infernal Rage to tag out into something powerful that, had actual good implications against my opponent. In this case, this was essentially a free hand rep against the opponent. Got the Infernal Rage, you still play the Neo Swingman. I don't actually go into this too often with favorite contact, but a lot of times I'm actually using the favorite contact to get the second contrast hero out because and that's why we're playing two guys. Is your Miracle Fusion is exclusively now with the standard combo line, creating this with Miracle Fusion, and then your other one's actually your second favorite contact target simply because this card is a little bit reactive should they threaten your back row or your favorite contact that's going to be set in the back row by the end of the combo. But this card is proactive because it's giving you the option of a negate at any point you want, should the backer be threatened by like an MST, Duster, Lightning Storm, whatever. And we got Sunrise, standard combo piece, two Dark Laws. You need to. I'm personally playing this going first as a Turbo Dark Law deck where we're trying to go for the double law line, especially post Masked Hero Fountain, where now you no longer actually need to open Fusion Destiny to land on double law. We can actually do it simply with a Ferris and a Malicious. I'll show you guys that nasty combo line. I got the Wake Up. Again, this is my Vision Hero Trinity, but it's also a combo piece should I want it to be because it interacts with DB by tutoring out any warrior from the deck. Got two Cross Crusaders you need to for grind, the Infernal Devicer to add your bricks, such as Neos, and then your Wonder Driver. You only need one Wonder Driver post Chaos Origins and Master Hero Fountain, simply because this card can actually set from the graveyard or deck your masked hero, your mask change, which is really, really broken and is one of your new answers to both Droll and Lockbird, as well as your Mulcharmy Fuvals. We're essentially guaranteed, even by giving your opponent one draw, or if they're drawing us on the first ad, we're gonna get to um, Dark Claw and be able to pass floodgating our opponent. In terms of siding pattern, let's see. I was playing Mitsu Fiendsmith. We need heroes. Let's do some siding patterns here. Um, Generally going second, what I tend to do is this. And I had one person ask me, "Oh, you got like 13 cards going second. Like, how do you feel about that?" I said, "I feel fine. Because I'm on thrust, I'm actually able to do this. I cut Fusion Destiny, cut AHL, Take out these. They're only good going first. I take out Rhoda. I find Rhoda is less efficient than Emergency Call or Foolish Burial. And then I might actually take out the Droll, should it not be good for the matchup. Your Master of Fountain also always has to come out if you know you're going second, guys. This card sets. You keeping this card in your deck means you're anticipating that you want to grind out your opponent. Our deck is not designed to grind. Our deck is designed to break the board, establish dominance, then go for FTK by attacking with big monsters that can just clear board. So I'm usually doing like this. Let me see how much. We need two more cards like this. Yeah, one Vion going second is actually not half bad. But if you're like risk averse, maybe you just do this, take out like a crown. And the reason we're able to, by the way, do this, guys, of like taking out engine pieces that we don't necessarily um, run two of in the main is because again, we have thrust to be able to add those cards. We can potentially resolve sloth and just see those cards. And then also when you are going second and you're applying pressure through the way of mulch armies, such as Fuvalos or Perulia, theory states like having six, seven, eight cards, your ratios of being able to see those starters and those critical combo pieces, the math is actually exponentially better in your favor when you are able to resolve those cards where you're not starting with a hand of six, you're starting with like a hand of seven or eight. And additionally, what these cards are doing is they're putting your opponent on a baby board so that way you're able to break that board with things such as Droplet, things such as your Thunder Giant, which is part of your engine, right? That's the game plan with heroes, I think today. It's 100% you know, a floodgate, hand trap, breaker deck, arguably going second. So yeah, it looks like this post side. Um, yeah, not much to say there. Let's say like we want to go first. What I'm really doing is just these. So four of these, five, six. So six cards. Yeah, you take out your two Fuas. We need to keep one for the cross out target, but that's fine. You're not gonna really break on this because this is a deck of 50. The one Fua will be buried. You will not see it. And then I just do this. Maybe keep like one crown in. Very, very simple, guys. If I need to play the Dark Angel against breaker decks, the other crown goes. It's really that simple. It's designed in a way where like you can't really forget what you have to do. Um, this is how my deck looks like. I would say like 99% of the time into most matchups. Some matchups, yeah, maybe different dimension ground is not that great of a fit. That's fine. At that point, you just bring back your two crowns. Maybe keep a thrust should they like bestial you or harmonia. I don't know. But if you don't really want to take that chance, you can simply just do this. Put back some of your settable breakers. Things such as your crown and your forbidden drop, you can set those and they will still have value because we have a free draw now, a free draw one with our engine through end shuffle. But yeah, very, very simple siding pattern. I keep it as simple as possible. One of the things that I always advocate when it comes to deck building is, the reason we get away with such easy side in and side outs is because we're doing a lot of threes. There's very, very limited twos when it comes to the ratios, both in the main and the side, which actually exponentially makes your time and thought process a lot easier when you're going in and out of your extra deck in between rounds. Sweet. So yeah, that's the explainer of the deck and the siding patterns. Let's go through some combos. And I have a free spreadsheet, guys. You can also like drop me a donation slash, you know, um, like a token of appreciation. Should you want to, you can access my Stripe wall in this free spreadsheet. So yes, it's a free spreadsheet. You literally just, if you think it's worth $1, $10, I don't know, $100, God forbid, someone makes money here. You can easily just drop me a quick link. And yeah, no pressure though. But yeah, let's go over the combos. First and foremost, we need to go through the basic new one card combo with Ejector. And I'll give you guys some tips and tricks of what I'm prioritizing to get away with like playing one poly, for example. Um, so yeah, this is our one card ejector. We're gonna send for cost, special, add and shuffle. This card can also add your favorite contact should you need it to, if you actually open this. So we always have two targets. It's never an issue. Then we're gonna go for Vion, normal the Vion, dump the Mally, summon out Mally, link to, revive the Mally. We're gonna go for an early polymerization add. Cool. And then we're gonna search out our Shadow Mist. Very nice. We're then going to be adding our brick. I want to pause there. Notice how I actually showed the Aqua Dolphin. One of the values of actually running this is we're actually able to conceal information against our opponent. Your opponent is going to realize, like, okay, we're adding favorite contact. They're going to read the card. Most players do, even if they don't know the deck. And then they're going to realize, oh, well, what was that card that he showed me to add Neos? Because that is information. And he's going to realize, oh my God, he has access to a board wipe. So they might potentially like sequence things differently. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is you don't want to give your opponent too much information should you not have to. So you're gonna actually always show them this card because it actually hides the true threat that you may want to actually go into depending on the matchup. I'm thinking things such as like, I don't know, Yummy was like a good example where like you wanted to clear board. Malice was also a good example. I know those decks are a little bit older now, but those decks where you needed to, they were susceptible to removal. You're removing their monster bodies or like their set spells and traps. Those decks are susceptible to Neo Swingman. So you're never actually going to show them Neo Swingman. You're going to show them Aquanius because it conceals information. We'll add the Neos. We're going to go for Polymerization into the Infernal Rage. Chain 1 Infernal Rage, Chain 2 Masked change. This is important because we absolutely must land on the trap because that is a form of interruption on our opponent's turn. It's part of our end combo. The add of I think it's Dustcrow coming up is it's not bad. It's still, I think, very important to the comp because you're going to be able to access your mass change. But if I wanted to kind of put importance on like a tier, I think your trap is like a non-negotiable versus, your ability to land on mass change, even when obviously we're trying to turbo out Dark Law. That's okay. It's just something to keep in mind. I think if you've gotten this far, that whole chain is probably going to resolve anyways. So we'll go for the Sunrise, the Miracle Fusion. And then we're going to go for the mass hero lines just to add our mass change. Beautiful. And I'm showing you guys this combo just to kind of set the precedent how important the new ejector lines are. Because once we go through the two card combo, we're going to realize, wow, like I should consistently be actually getting on double law without Fusion Destiny because of this brand new support. And then we're going to make DPE. And then we're going to Miracle Fusion into our Contrast Hero Chaos. Again, this approach where you can miracle into contrast is not only legal but is optimal. That is your usual target now, instead of wake up as we did before the recent support. Is you're going to be making this because a negate is just that powerful. Awesome. And then we got this. We got our DP pop, our negate again. Ideally, I'm going into the second contrast here, chaos for a negate. And it's also soft once per turn, similar to Dark Law. It's also soft once per turn, which means each copy can use all their effects once. But that is how we're going to get our Dark Law out on our opponent's turn, is we're going to resolve one of the negates and then tag out our Dark Contrast Hero Chaos into Dark Law. Yep, that's the one card combo. Not much to kind of go off of there. Let's actually do the two card combo, which is what I'm really excited about. You also notice the ejector line one card combo didn't actually need to go into our increase, our Vision Hero Ferris or increase, but this next combo will, and it will take advantage of the Vision engine, which a lot of you guys are arguing should be cut. It should definitely not be cut. One of the good things about getting new support is we're able now to tack on even more lines of play and engines to make it even harder for our opponents to stop us with the one-to-one hand traps. It doesn't make sense just because we got the release of ejector that we cut the vision lines because you're essentially just trading one line of play for another when in reality like all lines have a choke point. They all lose to actually one hand trap. So by stacking our different options of combo lines, we're able to now do is essentially beat the susceptible one for one hand traps very easily. Like I've had games like kid you not, where like I played through Ash Ogre Veiler or like Ash Imperm Veiler or like Ash Imperm Imperm. And you're able to do that and hand loop your opponent through the combos because we're maintaining all these new supports and lines of play that Konami is releasing for us. Our deck now essentially is just caught up to speed when it comes of what it was consistently doing in the past, which is again, um, we're comboing off. We're trying to not get drolled game one and trying to get food. We're maximizing the number of options, such as like, cross out and call away. And that was a crazy hand, by the way. We're literally FTKing our opponent because our um, engine is just crazy now, and then we're maxing out on our non-engine to be able to stop those culprits. That is how you should be deck building for heroes. And then going second, we're going to floodgate our opponents with Mulch Armies and then break their board with a little bit of hand traps, but also primarily the board breakers. This is the droplets, the crowns, the dusters, sloth, rust, all those great cards. So this is a two-card combo, Ferris and Mally. So let's get right into it. So Ferris, send Mally for cost. Place increase on the back. For the love of God, guys, you will maintain Vision Hero increase in the back row for all eternity. I'm going to take a pause. The way this deck operates now, you have so many efficient lines. You are not going to go for an early resolution of increase, especially with Ogre in the format. Okay? You will hold Vision Hero increase at the back row. Think of it this way. This is susceptible to Ogre and Ash, right? And then your Vion is susceptible to Veiler Imperm, even Ash itself. You're not going to give that important pivotal part of the combo away too soon for your opponent to check with just one hand trap and one interruption. You're going to instead, if you open Forest Mally or like AHL Mally or Ejector Mally, the minute you have Mally, you're again going to hold Vision Hero increase on the back row for all eternity. You're gonna notice by the end of this combo, I'm not actually going to be. There's gonna be moments where like I don't actually need to resolve increase, but I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna go for a greedy line. Once I've checked all possible moments, my opponent needs to interrupt me with things such as like Ash Blossom, Ogre, Imperm Veiler, all those one for one hand traps. Right? But to start off our combo, we're gonna feel out our opponent. We're gonna keep a mental checklist of what our opponent may have or may not have, or if anything at all, if they're on a breaker deck. Cool. So we're gonna go for Mally. We checked for Ash. We check for Bell here with the Cross Crusader. They can even Ash the Cross Crusader ad, right? So we're holding the increase. Very, very important. We're going to go for an ejector ad. We're going to send for cost, summon out, go for the end shuffle. End shuffle, then we'll tag out into Stratos. Stratos will then add the masked hero lines of play for us. We're going to go for an early access to mass change. The reason you're actually going to prioritize mass change ahead of polymerization is should your lines of access be stopped to get poly, you can literally end on double law pass, which is broken. I'm going to pause. In the height of the Kashtira format, where essentially Arise Heart was just at like unlimited, and then it went to, and then they had to hurt the deck a little bit. They went from unlimited Kashtira Rise Heart to one. The reason they did that is Konami recognized, what's the primary game plan where like the deck doesn't lose to a lot of, non-engine or hand traps? Well, just establish one Arazart, two preferable, and you're basically winning the game. We can do that. We can do that with Hero, even without having access to polymerization. One of the reasons I'm actually also on one poly is because my access to Dark Law is just much more important than literally everything else. Okay. Yeah. So that being said, yeah, we're gonna quickly threaten our opponent with the making of Dark Law, which at that point, maybe they'll Bell or Ash this, right? Then giving us opportunity to go for the resolution of increase, which gets us both poly. And then what does Vion dump? Well, Vion can dump the Master Hero Fountain, which is going to set mass change anyways. So the minute your opponent is going to ask you, hey, what does Furnace do? You're going to tell them, I can add polymerization or mass change that gets me Dark Law. The minute you give them that information, if they haven't interrupted you yet, they will most certainly be inclined to do so at that point. And then in that essence, they're going to get punished because you just happen to leave Vision Hero Increase on the back row. They're not even going to think much of it. They're going to think it's just like sitting there as like an equip monster. I've had that happen so many times. Like, oh, this is a quick effect. It's not an equip. People don't know what Heroes does, guys. It's one of the benefits of even playing this deck. So you're going to play this way, where you're giving your opponent information around like areas where like they probably should stop you, but they're gonna get punished as a result of you playing preemptively instead of reactively by having resolved this so early on in the combo. Cool. Again, we're gonna show the Neos to maintain hidden knowledge that we were playing the Neos Wingman. Here, where we're starting to now resolve the vision lines fully after initiating them by placing vision increase on the back row, we're gonna go for the Vion, and then we're chaining our masked hero, sorry, a mass change on the increase. What this is doing is we're getting out one Dark Claw, and then on resolution of that, we're sending Master Fountain, and without even having to side, by just playing the one mass change, we've essentially now been able to loop our mass change for a double Dark Claw play without having the requirement to open our Elemental Hero and Vision engines in conjunction to Fusion Destiny. You used to be able to get to two Dark Claws, and you played two Dark Claws because Fusion Destiny existed. We played like a deck of like 41 to 43 at the time, right? That's a thing of the past now because we now have so many more starters. We do have a little bit more of like bricks and garnets. So we went up to 50, even 60 in some cases, like the Nathaniel Christmas special, which is at the Vegas Regional. Shout outs to him. Uh, but one of the reasons why we're able to now get away with this is because we actually no longer even need to play Fusion Destiny to get two DPE and two Dark Claws, plus all the negates and favorite contacts that you want to set for your heart's desires. Very, very powerful stuff because, again, there was a point in this combo where your opponent could have stopped you with Valor, Imperm, all those one-for-one hand traps, especially Ash Blossom. Right, Ash Blossom Ogre used to stop the vision lines drastically, like indefinitely. But the thing now is, your Ash Blossom, once you threaten the out of Poly and or Mass Change, they're almost forced to use it there, and you will again punish them with the hidden back row usage of Vision Hero increase. Cool. We're gonna add the Poly. We're gonna trigger the Furnace because we summoned our Dark Claw, just to get a free extender body. Keep in mind, guys, like that effect is actually quite important. I find also a lot of combo lines. I do this when I'm summoning out Infernal Rage, just so that way they don't bell my Infernal Rage, because Infernal Rage is actually a choke point that's kind of scary to get hit with a hand trap against, whether it's like Imperm, Valor, Ash Bell against the Infernal Rage, which is about to come out. So some combo lines when you have like multiple, like 3, 4 card combos, a pro tip is like once you go for like Infernal Rage, Special Summon, connected to like your Wonder Driver to reset your poly, go chain one driver, chain two Infernal Rage, chain three, this, because again, we're prioritizing the out of mass change ahead of poly to threaten any last minute chances of one-for-one hand traps. So what's happening is you get to a point where like no part in your engine is like stoppable by left hand drops because you have your Vision Hero increase on the back row, and you also have your Masked Hero, your Mass Change in hand, which can also support you in dodging should they try to like imperm your Vion, imperm your Cross Crusader, or imperm even like your Infernal Device. You can just tag out into Dark Claw, and then those you get some value with some of those effects resolving. Cool. You're gonna make the Infernal Rage, reset the poly, add the favorite contact. Go for the Sunrise, add the Miracle Fusion. And then Miracle Fusion again will make the, I believe oh, we're gonna make DPE first. Okay. Yep, that makes sense. And then we'll make the contrast through chaos. And that's the board. Law, DPE, contrast. You can make a second negate, which again, you have to play two, it's preferable. You have recursion with Wonder Driver, and then you have a second mass change by taking out one of your contrast heroes once you've used the effects. And you're able to go into your double law play, which is two hand rips and two macrocosmos to defige under just two cards without having to open a non-searchable Fusion Destiny. quite busted. The implications are endless. Guys, it's a very, very powerful deck. Um, yeah, let's call it a wrap. This was a pretty good masterclass. Check out the updated spreadsheet. There's two post Chaos Origins combos. Yeah, hope you guys like the deep analysis of the deck list as well as the combos. And again, yep, we're at a point now where like we can get away with like the pile hero variants of like 50 to even 60. This is probably the most preferred way of playing the deck, given all like the different garnets in the deck. Um, and yeah, I went three-peat back to back with heroes. Defeated a lot of great decks such as like Cool Tune, Branded, defeated Doomzed, defeated like Crown Clue Runic. Definitely a lot of great decks with a lot of space with non-engine are essentially getting, just FTK'd by the double law plays or even, ha just having a hard time keeping up with all the different power that the deck now has going second, even with all the different explosive engine pieces like your new ejector, like your Fusion Destiny, and then also all these amazing board breakers that are in the format. Even things such as Sloth, guys. Your Pot of Sloth is easily a two or three of, and your Thrusts gives you essentially up to six Sloths should you want to. Even if these cards do not resolve, your opponent is forced to interact with these breakers, making them exceptional for a deck such as Heroes. But yep, that's it for me. Hope you guys like this masterclass. We did the deck profile, the siding patterns, and then two bread and butter combos. Again, showing you guys what you should be prioritizing with the deck post ejector as well as fountain, where you really should be thinking about your turbo double dark claw plays, because now you can get to those efficiently without having to open the E Hero engine, the Vision engine, plus Fusion Destiny, which is ultimately a 2 to 3 card combo. Now you can efficiently do that with just two cards, and be able to just floodgate your opponent and FTK them uh, by establishing the dominance that way. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.